Hello, and welcome to the Venue Coach Blueprint for Owners. I'm Kyle Labar. This podcast is all about helping you fill your wedding venue with more bookings, earn more from each one, and keep your customers happy for a long time. We'll also talk about some tough times and big lessons that I've learned along the way. Let's dive in together and make your venue the best spot for weddings. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Venue Coach. Today, I wanted to talk about renovations and redesigns and upgrades to the property and things like that. Um, they have their time and place, and I think that, like, when we bought our venue, we came in, we didn't like how it looked, we didn't like the design, there were some things that were a bit dated. So we had some clear plans and a vision to enhance that. And the approach that we take with anything regarding upgrades in our venue and renovations or things like that, we're thinking about the customer experience first. We're thinking about the wow factor. We're thinking about how it's going to increase sales. Remember, this is a business. This isn't your home. And so just repainting the walls just because might be, I mean, is great for your home, but here it could impact your sales in a bad way. And so we try to be deliberate with our expenditures on things like that. Things that can be timeless are also very smart ways to redesign and renovate. So our walls when we came in were natural stone color of the area that we're in Texas, and so it was kind of yellow brown, and all the walls were like cream, and we had an old porte-cochere cloth porte-cochere out front, and so we repainted everything white, which is more classic and timeless. It goes with all sorts of different colors. And then we built a new porte-cochere to make it match more with the building and make the aesthetics just look better. And so since then, we've had a couple of weddings due to weather be under the porte-cochere, and that was before we built our chapel. And so those have been great investments to make, and it just helps create the sense of a sense of awe when a couple drives up and they see that. Especially on our property, they have to drive a half mile in from the road down a winding dirt gravel road through the trees, and then it opens up and there's the venue. And so we want another first impression. I talk a lot about that, but we want our first impression to stand out, and then as they come in, we wanted that again, that timeless feel. So the next one of the other opportunities we had or we considered was paving our driveway. And I did say that it was a half mile long. And so the cost to do that versus the cost of to our bookings in all of our questions to couples when they respond, of course, when they say that they don't want to book with us, I don't think that there's been a singular time where the couple has said, "Oh, we're not booking with you because your drive is gravel." It just doesn't happen. And so, but when I look up the expense of that, that's $250,000. Would it look great once done? Of course. Will it bring in more bookings for me? Probably not. Would it bring in a couple? Maybe, but probably not as a whole, and definitely not $250,000 in any foreseeable period of time. Let's run the math on that real quick. $250,000 plus the financing to do it. I mean, even if we just had $250,000 cash that we wanted to just burn away into some asphalt, then let's say it could only bring in two, being generous, two extra bookings a year. That would be for us like $10,000 in profit, and then we would need, I don't know, 10, 25 years to pay it off, yeah, not worth it. Instead, we just maintain our road. We put $2,000 to $5,000 a year to it to make sure that it's not turning into a hazard. But beyond that, that's it. We don't focus on that because it doesn't drive revenue. So when you're thinking about doing these renovations and redesigns, just think about that as what impact will this have on my sales? And that's the question that we ask ourselves. So it's not that don't spend money on improvements and upgrades and make that investment. I mean, we built the chapel, and that's been well worth the investment. So a part of that is forecasting into the future and being realistic and honest with yourself if it's just for you and because you want to shake things up, or if it's actually going to have a good positive impact on the bottom line, which ultimately is why we make business decisions. It's to increase our business. So hopefully this was helpful for someone. You might be in a position where you're considering doing some renovations, that sort of thing. That's the thought process that we go through. But if you found this useful, please share, subscribe, and if you didn't, then I will catch you in the next one, and hopefully you'll get some value out of the next one or the previous ones. Or if not, and you just keep listening, well, that's odd, but I appreciate you anyways. Well, and until then,